Good morning, Leonard. How are you?
Wonderful, Mark. Thank you.
Good to see you again, and I appreciate you taking the time because we really want to get your insights from your experiences on this topic of leadership. But to start things off, briefly, can you just give us your name, what you do?
Sure. Leonard Atlas, and I am a serial entrepreneur with two companies. I am the founder and CEO of Mission Profitable, which is a global sales development and training company. And I'm also the co-founder and president of RapidMediaWorks, which is an enterprise video publishing company. So I like to describe it as one low tech, one high tech.
Great stuff. Well, we've known each other a little bit now, and I definitely appreciate the expertise you bring to the table. Leadership, big topic, I know. Can you give us a sense, what's your perspective or definition of what leadership really is?
Yeah, I have a very simple criteria how I evaluate leaders in the companies that I work with. It starts off with having a clear vision of where they're going. There are so many distractions today that it's important to have a clear vision of where you've been, where you are, and where you're headed, certainly for the next 12 to 24 months, and even beyond that, obviously. Secondarily is to have a realistic strategy, how they're going to maintain that leadership position and how they're going to grow their organization. And thirdly, and I think almost most importantly, is to be open-minded to new information, new opportunities, new technology. As you know, we meet so many people that give the adage, that's not how we do it around here, or we've never done that before.
Right.
That to me is not a good leader.
I agree. I was just having another interview like this actually with a senior executive in Boston, and he said just that. He talked about the importance of a buy-in, if you will, about getting people's input and humility. I would assume you would agree with that.
100%. I was on the phone yesterday with a prospect who's on the verge of becoming a client, and we talked about business development and what my approaches are. And I said, well, one of them happens to be involving LinkedIn today. And he said, we don't do that stuff. I said, what do you mean that stuff? What does that mean, that stuff? Social media, technology, internet, that stuff? And it's just an indication of how he acts, how he thinks, how he treats his people. And I had to call him on that because when he hires me and I'm in the room doing the workshop, we're going to do that stuff.
Yeah, no, that it is incredible. Related to your high tech, low tech knowledge, sales is a unique skill. How do you become a leader in sales?
Well, first and foremost is experience. You can't be a leader in any sales organization if you haven't done it yourself.
Hmm.
And secondly, you have to have comparison points. So you have to know about other industries as well. And it's good to be able to talk about what we used to do 20 years ago. Because some of that down and dirty, breaking bread, shaking hands, knocking on doors is relevant and it's good for building character.
Right.
But by the same token, you have to be able to step into the current world and realize that what you can do with technology today in 2 hours would take you 50 hours manually.
Right.
And I train a lot of millennials, a lot of young people just getting out of college, and they're brand new to sales. They don't know the old-fashioned way. And their managers and bosses and supervisors are often opposed to their unorthodox, as they say, approaches.
Hmm.
I say, but be open-minded to the fact that there's more than one way to do this. There's not just one way to sell today. So to become a leader, you have to be open-minded to the fact that there are multiple ways and everything doesn't fit every person. Sales is a combination of art and science. The science is keeping track of the numbers and using the technology. The art is your personality and how you go about doing it and your relationship building skills. They're both important.
Yeah, no, I compare a lot of things to sports, and it's like a coach. I would say, you have to know, like you just said, who you're dealing with, what's your audience. Everybody's got different motivational needs, etc. So it's about people.
My world is all about people. From the sales training with Mission Profit, it's all about people, and it's interpersonal contact and communication, and how we relate with each other, and how we don't make our prospects feel pressure, which is the whole Mission Profit teaches the 80-20 sales approach, which is looking to disqualify unworthy prospects so that nobody feels pressure. If there's no fit, we have to be abundant enough to recognize there's no opportunity here. Let's move on.
Yeah, absolutely. Related to knowing how things happened in the past and be open to things currently, have you had someone in your life or your career that's been an influencer to you? or for you?
I've had many people, but the one that stands out first and foremost in my mind is my father. Unfortunately, he passed away when I was 18, so it's been many, many years. But he taught me a couple of major life lessons. At the time, he didn't know that I'd go into sales training, but one of the lessons I remember him teaching me when I was 8, 9, 10 years of age was pay peanuts, get monkeys. And that was always his approach. He owned a business, he had a lot of employees, and he always paid above average salaries. And he always took care of his people because he realized, like he said, pay peanuts, get monkeys. And if you want the work done and you rely upon your people to help get it done, you've got to take care of them. Now, salary and compensation is not the only motivator, as you know better than I do. People want appreciation and respect, and they want to feel like they're serving an important role, so they want to feel acknowledged. But that was a real important lesson of mine. The second lesson he taught me, which is kind of interesting, he had a quote that he would share with me when I was trying to cut corners and do things sloppy, and it was, be thy labor, great or small, do it well or not at all. Right. So years after he passed away, I was on the platform giving a speech in London, and afterwards somebody said, you know, that's Shakespeare. I said, no, it was David Atlas. He said, no, well, David Atlas may have used it, but Shakespeare created that. So a few weeks later, he posted me a plaque that he engraved, be thy labor great or small, and he engraved David Atlas and Shakespeare. So that was a very important life lesson. That was an important influencer in my life. Since then, there have been many, many business associates, mentors, trusted advisors, friends, colleagues, and clients. And I really do my best to learn from everybody, young and old.
Sure.
Everybody has something to teach.
I agree. Winning cultures, again, compared to sports or a business, how does one develop a winning culture, in your opinion?
They've got to lead by example. The ivory tower where you sit behind your desk and you're not in touch with the field doesn't work anymore. Mm-hmm. And, you know, we both talk about pop culture and that TV show Undercover Boss on TV.
Right.
And you get to meet executives of $100 million, multi-billion dollar companies that admit to the world they haven't been to their factories in 3 years. They haven't been in the field in 5 years. They have no idea what their people are going through. That's not a winning culture. Now, they're humiliating themselves in front of the public audience to kind of slap themselves. But the reality is, I think to create a winning culture, first and foremost, is you have to be willing to do every job in your company. No matter how high you are up on the ladder, you've got to remember where you came from. And there's no disrespect in sweeping the floor or cleaning the toilet or typing the letter or whatever it is. Everybody has to know how to do that and be willing to do that and lead by example. That's my number one mantra.
Yeah, very smart. There's a story real quick about NASA, how they made the janitor at NASA feel like he had a major part in them getting to the moon.
Well, nobody wants to go in a dirty rocket.
And there you go.
with schmutz.
I do have another client also that once a year they have a retreat that reminds the people in corporate headquarters that they're not in the accounting, IT, or whatever business. They're in this case, the hamburger business.
Correct. Yeah. And from our perspective, we feel everybody's in the sales role. The receptionist that answers the phone is selling.
Absolutely.
The person in accounts payable, everybody is selling and representing the brand. So that's all part of that culture as well. Recognize everybody's important.
And talking to that point, you talked about the low-tech, high-tech. The high-tech opportunities that you could brand yourself positively or negatively. If you take advantage of the high-tech opportunities to brand yourself, then it's going to create a winning culture and a great reputation, correct?
Entirely. And it was yesterday I had lunch with a legal recruiter, somebody in the legal space, and we were talking about the video business cards that we offer. And he said, that's brilliant. How come every lawyer doesn't have one? I said, well, because they haven't embraced it yet, but it's getting to the point where everybody has a paper business card. They really do need a video introduction of themselves to brand themselves and differentiate and allow people to meet them, not just their written bio, but who they are as a person.
Yeah, great point. Let me ask you then, who do you go to for, we kind of went through this a little bit, but is there someone specifically you go to for advice?
My 13-year-old daughter. Brilliant young woman. But seriously, I have a pool of mentors and trusted advisors. And as I said, some of them are clients, some of them are friends, some of them are business partners and colleagues. I'm never embarrassed to say, I don't know, I need help.
Right.
And I think that's an important trait in leadership today. You can't know everything.
Right.
You can't know your business and the technology as well. I need help with my technology,
Sure.
with my Facebook page and stuff like that. So I have a very large pool of people. And twice in my life, I organized a mastermind alliance where myself and 5 others from different industries created kind of like a virtual board of directors. And once we did it for 6 months, once we did it for 12 months. And it was really very valuable to have my peers and colleagues from different businesses give input and critique about everything we were doing in our businesses.
Brilliant.
So that we don't get too far into the forest, but we have other people looking from the outside in, giving us advice and input.
No, I like that. I like that a lot. Does anything ever keep you up at night?
Well, the answer is I could allow it to, but I choose not to. And there are 2 practices that I've been implementing the last 15 years. Mm-hmm. The first is I do a brain dump. So I create my to-do list today for tomorrow. The last business thing I do at the end of the day is take all those little notes and all those little pieces of paper and all those little things we wrote during the day and all the business cards and everything, and I put them into my computer, into the to-do list. So the next day, I just have to do the day. I don't have to build the day. It's already built.
Right.
And on a personal level, I then do 10 or 15 minutes of relaxing yoga, restorative yoga in the evening. Calms me down tremendously, puts me at peace, and allows me to get into bed and fall asleep and not worry about anything. Because otherwise, you'll stay up all night worrying about stuff. And, I have a definition for worry. I know you didn't ask this, but I'm going to throw it in. Worry is negative prayer. Everything we worry about is praying for it to happen or not happen. It's negative. Why worry?
It does suck the energy out of you. There's no doubt about it. And it would do the same with people around you. So that's actually brilliant.
They say you can be part of the problem, part of the solution. I'd rather be part of the solution.
I'm with you. So being part of the solution, I know you're active. How do you make a difference in the world?
Wow. I make a difference in the world every single day by coaching salespeople. I coach thousands and thousands of salespeople all over the world, entrepreneurs, salespeople, sales executives, etc. And I really believe I'm making a difference because I refer to my sales training more as income coaching than just pure sales training. I'm there to help them grow their business. It grows the top line of the company, but it helps grow their incomes as well. So I know that I'm directly responsible for thousands of families all over the world having a bigger income today than they did before working with me. But I think you also want to refer to pro bono work. Well, so for the last 8 years, I've been teaching a course at UCLA Extension in special event sponsorship and cause marketing and fundraising. So I work a lot with nonprofits, teaching them because nonprofit fundraising is the same thing as sales, right? It's the exact same thing. There's no difference between the nonprofit and the for-profit world other than their tax status. They have just as much competition. It's just as challenging. And about 3 years ago, I became a mentor at the Cofounder House in Los Angeles, where I mentor homeless teens and youth in self-esteem building and goal setting. And I can't impact 100% of them. I know that's not realistic.
Right.
But when I hear that this person got their first job because of the work we did together, and recently I had one of the young teens be able to support individual living. They moved out of the group home that was federally sponsored, and now they're paying for their own apartment. They're now working on getting a car. That's a feeling of money can't buy that. I've helped improve this person's life. And I remember them and they remember me, and that's just wonderful stuff.
Not to mention all the people they'll impact after that.
Yeah, well, we asked them to pay it forward.
Absolutely. Take a message.
Sorry about that.
No, that's all right. This is real life. This is what it's all about. It's real life.
It's a sales call, but we're going to let it go to voicemail. Ring 2 more times.
So last kind of quick, brief questions. You've heard this before. A leader in the past or present you've admired that you, if you will, like to go to dinner with.
Okay. I'm not going to give you the answer you want. I'm not going to tell you Winston Churchill or Abraham Lincoln. I've seen some of your other interviews, and I know those are the standard, most popular answers.
They are pretty popular.
I really enjoy the leadership of the people I surround myself with. They tend to be my clients and my colleagues. But I put you in that category as well. I admire that you took the initiative to put this leadership video series together. I think that's an important step. And I know that you're also interviewing children.
Right.
I think that's remarkable because we can learn from them.
Absolutely. Like your 13-year-old daughter.
She's brilliant. She comes up with great stuff, so insightful. And we watch Shark Tank together. So she's learning to become a little entrepreneur and valuations. And it's really, I think, an important step in her life.
Right.
She doesn't know what she wants to do yet, but it's very important for her to understand the mechanics of business because they're not teaching it in school yet. But there is one leader that does stand out that I would love to have dinner with, and that is Richard Branson.
Sure.
He's been massively successful, obviously. But what I admire the most, and many people don't know this about him, is in high school he was written up as the boy most likely not to succeed. And he proved everybody wrong in spades.
That's for sure.
He went against the odds and he really became ultra successful in many areas of life and philanthropy. And I admire that, and I'd love to sit down with him.
Great choice. All
Can
right,
you arrange that by chance?
Sorry?
Can you arrange that?
Absolutely. After this interview, we'll get it together.
Appreciate it.
Or we'll try. So one word answers on this, then get a little personal. What's your favorite sport?
It's not hockey.
Oh, well.
It would be tennis.
Great.
I played racket sports my entire life, and tennis is the one sport that I love to watch on TV and then go out and play. And I actually feel that I'm a better player after I watch. I'm left-handed, so I watch Nadal. I love Rafael Nadal, and I actually look to emulate him on the court with what I've seen him do. I used to do that with Pete Sampras years and years ago. Now it's been Nadal.
Well, you
Love
got good role models there. You have a favorite movie?
So many, but I would tell you it's the James Bond franchise. Having grown up with that my whole life and watching them all over during the years, I love the James Bond movies. Great escape.
Do you have a favorite type of music you like to listen to?
I love classic rock, but I also love piano. I love just listening to piano concertos, and in fact, George Winston, who's kind of like new age piano.
Yeah.
I find it very soothing and also very productive.
Awesome.
I work with it.
Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
I write a lot of my coursework and the book I'm working on. I sit down with George Winston playing in the background, and I just find it totally allows me to focus on what I'm doing, and it's just a nice little distraction.
Yeah, I would agree. Last but not least, favorite food?
That's a tough one. Absolutely love sushi.
Right.
But the standard is Italian. I mean, how can you go wrong with Italian food?
Cannot. Well,
you know.
Listen, again, thanks so much for your time. That was fantastic. I appreciate your insight, your experiences, your perspectives, your sense of humor, and most of all, your friendship. And we will see you soon again.
Look forward to it. Thank you.
Take care.